Yo, I haven't seen y'all in a minute, bro. I've been mad inconsistent. Listen. I understand. I haven't been posting, that's me. School been kicking my ass. Work been kicking my ass, bro. Life been kicking my ass. So my fault. But we back. So without further ado, what's goody? It's your host J Rose as always, and today I'm giving you my official point guard rankings going into the 2023-2024 season. Let's get into it. You know, I haven't posted in a minute, so I'm feeling a little spicy today. I want to get somebody mad off the rip, so we're going to start off with my honorable mentions, and I got 3 of them. To start off my honorable mentions, the one and only, the beard, James Harden. He is not on my top 10 point guards in the NBA right now. He is outside of my top 10, and that's not to say he's not good anymore, but I just think that there's a lot of really good point guards, and I don't think that James Harden is the best player he has been recently, so he has not made my top 10. My other 2 honorable mentions I don't think are going to be as controversial, though. I got Drew Holiday and I got Darius Garland. They're both great. You know what I'm saying? They're not in the top 10, but 11, 12, and 13. You know what I'm saying? They right outside my top 10. So those are my honorable mentions. Let's get into the real list now, though. Number 10, I have Tyrese Halliburton. And if you know me, you know that I'm high on Reese. So if you're mad that he's this low, please understand that I like Reese. And I think Reese is going to be nice, but I just have a couple of guys ahead of him that I think are going to be better next season at least. And not to say that he won't be an all-star or he won't be one of the best guards in the league. He's a top 10 guard in my opinion, but I just don't think he's above some other guys. But that being said, let's speak on some positives about Reese. Last year, he averaged 20.7 points, 10.4 assists, and 3.7 rebounds in his first opportunity of really being a first option with the Indiana Pacers. And I definitely expect him to raise his play and maybe raise that point average up a little bit. And I think he will be an absolutely lethal weapon if he could get that scoring average up to 24, 25 points a game. And he's already one of the best assist men in the league. So if he can do that and show his scoring regimen, I think he'll be an absolute problem. But as it stands right now, if he goes in and he's more or less similar to what he was last year, I'm going to have him at 10. At my number 9 spot is another guy that I have a lot of love for, and he is an ex-Dallas Maverick, used to be on my team. You already know who I'm talking about. Jalen Brunson on the New York Knicks. He had an amazing season last year, and especially in the playoffs, he definitely blew up and showed everybody why he wanted that big contract and why he wanted to have his own team in New York, and I definitely respect it. I got so much love for JB. I love that he's succeeding in New York, and he's definitely shown off how good he is. Last year, averaging 24 points, 6.2 assists, and 3.5 boards, and he upped that 24 points to 27 when the playoffs came around. So we definitely know that Jalen Brunson can hang with the best of the best, and he's up there. He got a really nice bag. His handle is tight. His jump shot is good, and he's one of the only guards in the league that have a really slick post game, and I appreciate that about him. He's really strong, sturdy. I love Jalen Brunson. He was on my team, and he wasn't even doing the stuff that he's doing now yet on the Mavericks, so he definitely deserves to be in this top 10. Next up at my number 8 spot, this player was very hard to rank, and I think most people will understand why I can't really find a good spot to put him higher or lower than this. I feel like you can make an argument for him going up or down, but this player is Jamal Murray. Now, Jamal Murray, he just won a championship, and he was definitely one of the best players in the playoffs without a doubt. He was one of the only duos along with Jokic to average over 26 points in the playoffs, and that proved to pay dividends. They won a championship. They beat LeBron. They beat KD. They went all the way to the finals, and they won. They got it done. So looking from that standpoint, you can only say that Jamal Murray is one of the best guards in the league. But when you look at his regular season numbers, they're not as extravagant. Only 21 points, 4.8 assists, and 4 rebounds is not really what I expect out of one of my top guards in the NBA. But we also can see that he definitely raises his play in the playoffs. And we've seen this before back in 2020 in those playoffs. And now here again, Jamal Murray has completely blown up in the playoffs and shown that he's a playoff performer. So I really do struggle to put him higher because of how not great his regular season numbers are, and I struggle to put him any lower because of how great his postseason numbers are. And a lot of these other guys are consistent throughout, so I will stack him right here at my number 8 spot. For my 7th spot is a player that I've seen grind year after year, trying to get better, trying to acclimate himself more with his teammates, and it finally worked out. They got the piece they needed, and they made a playoff run for the first time since 2006. De'Aaron Fox. Swipe of the Fox, he definitely had a great season, and nobody can say he didn't. De'Aaron Fox absolutely blew up this year. He showed everybody that he is one of the top guards in the league. He won Clutch Player of the Year, and well deserved, man, because boy, watching De'Aaron Fox in the clutch was insane. That man could not miss, and I felt like every single time he put a shot up, it was gonna fall. Whenever it was crunch time, I remember the super duper high scoring game against the Clippers. De'Aaron Fox even showed out then in the playoffs as well, going up against Steph Curry. Although they lost, he definitely put up a great effort. And De'Aaron Fox has definitely showed me, at least, that he is one of the best guards in the league, and he deserves to be at this 7th spot, if not higher maybe, but I'm gonna put him at 7. If you've been keeping up with my content, this next pick might surprise you on how low he is compared to where I usually might have put him. But at this 6th spot, I'm gonna put Trae Young. Now, Trae Young, he's one of the best guards in the NBA, absolutely. Last year, he had a down year, which is why I feel comfortable putting him down at 6 when I would usually have him in the top 5. But being that the Hawks had a down year, Trae had a down year, he didn't really seem to mesh well with DeJounte Murray, I think that he deserves to be at this 6th spot. Being that I just made a video on Trae Young, I won't go too in-depth about why I think Trae Young is nice. Y'all know why I think Trae Young is nice, and if you don't, go watch. Let's be real about Trae Young. Still one of the best playmakers and one of the best scorers, but lack of defense and the fact that his shooting splits went down makes me drop him down a spot this year, and I'm gonna put somebody else ahead of him that really did emerge into a star this season and open my eyes to how good he really could be, even though I thought he was nice, but I didn't know he was that nice. At my 5 spots, this guy has been on my radar for a long time, even back dating to his Clipper days. I saw the potential, but I didn't know it was going to turn into such an explosion. And this player is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Not only is he one of the best scorers in the league, he's also a really, really good leader. And he almost led the Oklahoma City Thunder to a playoff berth this year. And if he would have done that, that honestly would have been legendary, because going into the season, you can't tell me that there's anybody who thought the Oklahoma City Thunder would even come close to a playoff berth. So the fact that Shai blew up like this and led that team all the way to the play-in tournament and almost to a playoff berth is very impressive in my opinion, and he definitely deserves his flowers. So I'm going to put him at this 5 spot. He did a great job in the regular season. I hope that when Chet comes in, that'll make the team just this much better so they can finally get into the playoffs and show us what they can do once the postseason comes and the best and most important games of the season come by. I'd love to see Shai in the playoffs, so let's hope the Thunder can get there next season. At my number 4 spot, I have the best shooter in the NBA, Ja Morant. Y'all thought I was going to have Steph Curry at 4. Are you crazy? Are you nuts? Absolutely not. Ja Morant is still one of the best guards in the league. Although he's had a lot of off-court issues, on the court, Ja Morant is still one of the best guards and players in the league, and there's no doubt about that. I don't like how, because of the off-court antics have been going on, people are starting to discredit him, saying he's not as good. They wouldn't want him on his team, and I can understand you not wanting him on your team for the off-court things, but on the court, Ja Morant is one of the most electric players in the league, has one of the highest IQs in the league. He's one of the best playmakers, and he's also a great leader on that floor. He leads that Grizzlies team with moxie. They've made the playoffs for the last, 2-3 years? I think they're going to need a little more to make that extra jump, because I personally don't think that Ja and Jaren Jackson Jr. is the duo that the Grizzlies want them to be. But all in all, Ja is super duper nice. I have him at the 4 spot in the top 10 point guards in the league this year, and I feel like that's well deserved. I feel like Ja Morant should have got more credit in the MVP race. Not saying he should have won, but the Grizzlies were a super high seed. Ja was putting up numbers, and I feel like if he didn't get that suspension, he would have got a lot more credit, but that's just me. On to the next pick. We are now in my top 3. Please. I know that you're all mad already, but you're probably going to get even more mad at this top 3. So let's start off with number 3. Logo Lillard, Damian Lillard, man. And amidst all of this trade rumors and Dame wanting out of Portland and all the drama that's been coming around Damian Lillard's name, I still find him to be one of the best guards in the league, despite all of what's going on and whatever everyone's talking about on Twitter. when we're talking about pure basketball, Damian Lillard is absolutely one of the best point guards in the NBA, and there's no doubt about it. He's been one of the best guards in the NBA for a very long time, and he continues to keep his play up when even I doubted him. I didn't think Dame was going to do this going into this season, especially because if you remember, Dame played some international games over the summer, and he had, I think it was a back injury 2 years ago. So he missed the year before this season, or the year before last season, and I just thought, listen, he's aging. He got a really huge injury that affected his entire season. Now we're coming back into this season. I just don't think Dame will be able to do it. And damn, did he prove me wrong, averaging 32 points, 7.3 assists, and 4.8 rebounds. Unfortunately, the Trailblazers sucked. There's only so much of that I can accredit to Damian Lillard because I've seen that he's a proven winner. His rosters haven't been all that his entire career, and he still led them to the playoffs numerous amounts of times. This season, he just couldn't get it done. He was in and out of games. Their chemistry wasn't there. Their defense was absolutely atrocious. But just looking at the individual performance that Damian Lillard gives you and his track record, I'm comfortable slotting him back at this 3 spot. Number 2. Now, can I get a drum roll, please? Because somebody is going to be mad at me. I feel like the majority of people who are watching this video are going to be looking at me like I'm a madman after I make my pick for the number 2 point guard in the NBA. And for this pick, I'm going to go with Steph Curry. I'm going to put Steph Curry at my number 2. Listen, my number 1 and number 2s are both some of my favorite players in the NBA, so I don't want anybody thinking that I'm super biased. I love watching Steph. I want Steph to win. I love rooting for Steph. I grew up with Steph. Steph was, when I really started paying attention to basketball, like for real, I was watching the games, I was paying attention, I was retaining all the stuff I was watching full seasons. Steph Curry started going off. So I pretty much grew up with Steph Curry being the top guy most of the time, and I love watching Steph. I'm not taking anything away from him. He's a great player. He just won a championship 2 years ago, and honestly, he's been putting up MVP caliber seasons year after year after year for the past couple of seasons. He's gotten better since his prime, in my opinion. He's been an absolute dog, and honestly, I feel like if the Warriors were better, they'd be a problem. If players like Klay Thompson were better on defense after his Achilles injury, if players like Draymond Green had more of a scoring regimen, I think that the Warriors would be like a super problem. They're still a problem, but it's mostly because of Steph. And that being said, if you can spearhead an offense like that and pretty much carry your team to the playoffs, and if you're not there, the chances of them winning are close to none in most playoff matchups. There's absolutely no shot they beat the Kings if Steph even has half of the series that he had. If he has 75% of the series that he had, I feel like the Kings come out with that one. So Steph is absolutely one of the best point guards in the NBA, averaging 29.4 points, 6.3 assists, 6.1 rebounds. Steph does it year after year after year. Super hyper efficient and best shooter in the league. I don't want to just leave it at best shooter in the league because he does so many other things that people never really bring up, like his under the rim finishing, some of the best in the NBA. His handle, absolutely great. His playmaking, up and down at times. He can turn the ball over a bit too much sometimes. But that being said, Steph Curry, amazing, absolutely amazing, and my second best point guard going into next season. Respectfully, this player is one of the best players in the NBA. He's a top 5 player in the NBA. So Steph, but he's a top 5 player in the NBA, and I feel like he can go off for an MVP any one of these seasons, and it's more contingent on if his team does well more than if he does well, because I know he's gonna do well. Luka, the Doncic, Luka Magic, man. Come on, y'all knew it was coming. Y'all knew it was coming when the video started. You clicked on this video, you knew it was gonna be Luka. Let's be for real. So Luka averaging 32.4 points, 8 assists, 8.6 rebounds. The Mavericks didn't make the playoffs this year, but you can't really blame Luka for that. Luka actually balled out when he was on the court. Based on the numbers, you can only say that. He recorded the league's first 60-20-10 triple-double this season. He was going off. He had super scoring performances. He looked amazing, as he does every year. They didn't make the playoffs this year, but honestly, that's not his fault. That roster sucked before Kyrie got there, and then when Kyrie got there, the rest of the roster still sucked. They weren't playing any kind of defense, and it's going to be hard to make the playoffs in a tight Western Conference if you can't play any defense and you can't play any offense outside of your stars. So I don't really blame Luka for that too much. That team is probably the worst team in the NBA if you take Luka Doncic off that roster. And I mean that, before and after Kyrie. That's my best point guard in the league. I think Luka is actually a phenomenon. I think he's a superstar. And I think he's really just bound for greatness at this point. I think he's going to break a lot of records. And I really do hope that the Mavericks are nice next season. But yeah, man, that's my top 10 point guards in the NBA. Listen, I'm not even going to say if you disagree, because I know y'all disagree. You can go in the comments, tell me what your top 10 is. Tell me who's too high, who's too low. Tell me who I left off. And I know somebody's going to ask where Kyrie is. Don't worry about it. There's more videos coming, and Kyrie's going to be in the next one. I promise y'all. And I'll see y'all in the next one.